Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to go through a walkthrough of all of Trillet's features and why features that you need to be a successful agency. In this case, I've got a lot of different features on this tier list and I'm going to go through each one, explain why I think they're really important for agencies and why they would help you guys get more clients. So let's get started. First, I've got shared demo link. I think honestly, this is an S tier feature. The reason why I think it's S tier is because when you start signing clients, you need to be able to show them how your agent will work and how their agent will be able to be deployed in the real world. In this case, because we allow our agencies to share these demos extremely quick, it means that your prospects get an agent faster. They get to see what it's like and they get more time to test it. Otherwise, most agencies at the moment, if they use other platforms, you'd have to connect and build out a proper demo, which does take time. It takes your time, but then also you have to set it up on their phone. So we are listed via web demo sharing and it makes it a lot faster for our agencies to get those clients. So I think it's S tier. Next one, we've got website scrape. I think website scrape is A tier. The reason why I think it's A tier is one, you can do a really quick demo once again. So you can scrape a business website, then you can get the knowledge base really quickly. When you start creating a normal agent, what you have to do is you actually have to go and ask the business owner for a knowledge base. And that obviously takes a lot of time. And it's something that you particularly wouldn't want to do when you're trying to do a lot of different demos. You're trying to sign a lot of clients at a time, or when you're trying to sign your first few clients, you don't want to go and ask the business owner, hey, can I have your knowledge base? That's just not going to fly well with them. And it's going to take a lot of time out of your time as well. So I think it's A tier. It's really useful, which is why we use it, but I wouldn't say it's S tier yet because there are sometimes errors with it. Next one is voice cloning. I think voice cloning is honestly C tier. I don't really think it's a great feature to have. We do have it with 11 Labs where you can bring your own voices from 11 Labs and then be able to bring on those cloned voices. It's useful if you're trying to replicate a sales agent, for example, or one of your staff who's got a really nice voice. However, I think given that 11 Labs already has a lot of voices, Trillet also has a lot of voices, I don't think it's a necessary feature as much as what people think it is. It is obviously quite important if you do need it, but I wouldn't say it's the end of the world if you don't have it. So that's a C tier for me. 11 Labs voices, I think honestly it's probably B/A tier at the moment. I'll put it in A tier just because I think they are still top of the range voices. In my opinion, there are obviously a lot more TTS providers out there, and I think I'm going to factor in cost as the biggest one here. The cost of an 11 Labs voice is just astronomically high and way higher than any other TTS provider just because they have, I think, 50%, at least 50% of the market at the moment. Obviously, there are a lot of good other providers out there like Rhyme. You've got OpenAI's got some pretty good voices too, but they're obviously quite expensive. So yeah, I think 11 Labs, it's ranging between B and A. I'll put it in A because I still think they're the best, but the cost is a bit outrageous, which is why we have to charge additional for them as well. So that's A tier. A custom domain. As a custom domain, I think it's A tier. I wouldn't say it's S tier, but I think it's definitely very important. A reason why it's really important is because a lot of our agencies, they have clients who want to view call history. They have clients who want to view their agent sometimes as well, maybe make minor changes to the agent as well. And if they see app.trillet or they see Trillet on the top of their domain when they sign in, they're going to be like, oh, what's Trillet? I thought you were this agency. I think it is really important for an agency who does sign a lot of clients to have a custom domain because it means you get full access and nobody ever knows what Trillet is. So it's very important. Branded emails, I think is still A tier, but I'll put it in B. I think the reason why I put it in B is because you don't need to use the branded emails that we have. You can also use our custom workflow solution where you can bring your own domain as well. So it is only really applicable in cases where you need branded emails for maybe post-call summaries, post-call emails, follow-up emails. But then again, you can use a third-party integration as well. So pretty good feature. Not exactly the biggest concern for agencies, in my opinion. Then you got whitelabel. Whitelabel is S tier for sure. The reason why it's S tier is because most agencies definitely by far need some sort of branding to show that why they're different. If you're just another agency that builds off development platforms and you have no custom branding, how different are you compared to a developer in an outsourced or when you're outsourcing, when they can just build the same exact agent, they can build it for 10 times lower than your cost. Why wouldn't any business owner go to them than you? So you're not really providing a huge level of a service if you're not customizing and you're not branding yourself as someone that's exceptional compared to a agency from an outsourced country who can charge 10 times cheaper. That's why I think it's a S tier. Custom markup, same situation, S tier. The reason why this is an S tier is because if you're not marking up your minutes, if you're not marking up your prices, pretty much doing things at cost. And that's not a solution for an agency to work with because you guys also need to make money. And the reason why we allow this offer at our agency pricing is because we want our agencies to make money. Simple as that. If you're not offering a custom markup, you're not going to be able to make any money on top of your cost. And you're basically just running a workshop. You're not really doing anything exceptional. You're not really providing a service that is above and beyond what a developer would be able to do. So that's why custom markup is a very important thing. Sub accounts, pretty average feature, B tier. Sub accounts are needed, much needed for those agencies who are offering client portals. You would definitely need it in the case where you do get a lot of clients. Pretty typical feature in my opinion, but much needed. Obviously everything is in your own account and your own branding. Even you can change it to the customer's branding and your sub account's branding, which is a bit of an additional feature if they want to see their own branding. So I think this feature is quite rich. It's quite usual. It's really well offered. B tier. Stripe invoicing. I think this is an S tier feature. We honestly probably at the moment, our feature is probably A tier. We want to improve it in Q3, but this feature allows you to directly invoice your customers and your sub accounts directly off Trillet, and it really makes it easy to invoice sub accounts without having to use and having to go off Trillet itself. Very useful feature because you can charge minutes, you can charge one-time invoices, you can charge monthly setups, monthly subscription fees, and that way it makes it a lot easier to invoice your clients. You can also credit your sub accounts with credit or minutes already without having to do it separately, which is a bit of a bonus as well. We've then got a smart callback. I think smart callback is an S tier feature, which is extremely underutilized. The reason why it's extremely underutilized is because people who decide to start their own agency always think about inbound AI and inbound voice agents. They don't actually think about the possibilities they can do with outbound. Some context actually with Trillet is that we actually started off as an outbound company and then branched into inbound, which is why a lot of our features are pertained towards outbound calling. Let's say you make an outbound call and they are not able to answer, for example. So it goes to voicemail. That's not going to do anything. Your agent will just not be able to call them again. Whereas for smart callback, the reason why we do this is because let's say you do miss a call, we actually allow our agencies to redial out up to 10 times. So that means the pickup rate increases because you get to retry that lead the same amount of times. And let's say that lead is like, hey, can you call me back in 30 minutes? Most times the AI is not able to reschedule that. But in this case, because we built our AI for outbound purposes, we've built a feature where it allows our AI to redial out in 30 minutes time and then make that call again. So it makes it really efficient and it allows us to increase our connect rates. Next one is GPT models. Your typical GPT models, obviously S tier at the moment. It's quite funny given that GPT 4.1 is still the best ranked and still probably the highest level and lowest latency model out there. Quite funny considering we're up to like GPT 5.5 now. So quite horrendous if no one's really made some improvements since then, but still by far the best models, smartest models out there, and we still definitely use them quite often. Then you got sub-second latency. I think sub-second latency is a bit of a myth. Don't actually think people, although I'll put it in A tier, I still don't think people are actually achieving sub-second latency, and it's very difficult to do so. I would say most are sub 2 seconds at the moment, given that one, you have to account for the telephony, which is based on the carrier you're with or based on what the telephony provider you're with is. And secondly is if you do have extreme low latency, your AI is extremely prone to cutting the person speaking. The natural imperfections of speech is that people think about what they have to say first. And if your AI is just prone to cutting off every 600 milliseconds, you're going to be interrupting each other all the time. When we see it a lot with our clients is that the agent will just start and then it makes a really bad experience for the person on the call. I would say it's probably A tier. It is probably something that people do want a lot, although I wouldn't say it's something that's as useful as what people think it is. Important, but not S tier. Transfers, another A tier feature. We have 3 or 4 types of transfers now. So we've got cold, warm, whisper, and also AI to AI transfers. They are obviously very, very important transfers, pretty oftenly used and quite common in most platforms. Quite simple, A tier. My favorite is Whisper, and a lot of people start using Whisper now because of how flexible it is. So Whisper is when, let's say I call the agent, ask the agent, hey, can I speak to someone? Then the agent will be like, sure, let me check if that person's free. I'll ask him now, please stand here and wait, give me a few minutes. The AI then goes to ask the person if you're free. If they're yes, it will put me through. If they're no, then it will go back and then say, hey, he's not free, can you leave a message? So it's a really good feature. Webhooks are very, very useful, and I would say they're S tier because you can link it with any other platform. Third-party platform like N8N, Make.com, they're all very, very useful for you to create automations with and more complex systems with the voice agent. I would say this platform should have a webhook system, although some don't because they're, I think, wrappers. So I think given that we're an own stack, it does make it quite useful for us. So I would say it's a S tier feature. Next feature we have is the bring your own API key. So I think honestly, bring your own API key is a bit of a scam. It's not really a useful thing. So I think I'm gonna put it in C tier. almost D tier. The reason why people think bring your own API key is such a good thing is because you can run your own API, so you can put it on your own credit card or whatever. The issue with that is that people think it's actually cheaper to run it with your own API key than it is with Trillet or with another platform. It's not really the case. It's just misleading. So a lot of platforms, what they do is they say, well, we only charge you 5 cents per minute, but you have to bring your own API keys. You only pay the platform 5 cents per minute, but you pay 4 cents for your LLM, then you pay another 5 cents for your TTS, then the minutes add up. It's not really a useful feature. It's just misleading to the point where people think the platform is cheaper because you don't need to pay your fees towards that company. You just pay for your own API keys. It's such a useless feature. So I'm actually going to put it in. I just don't think it's useful at all. Next one is N8N. So the reason why I've included N8N in here is because I think it's an S tier feature, but I think it's going down to A almost this year. The reason for that is because we have our own workflows feature where you can now produce the same exact things through N8N, but make it on Trillet. So one less platform to work around with. I still think it's an extremely good feature to have where you can then create more complex automations with the agents. For example, you can do a voice agent inbound call, then you can do a wait module where it will wait 30 seconds, then send a custom SMS and then send a custom email as well. So it's all in one sequence. Still a really useful feature. I think it's between these two. I want to put it in S because I'm going to hate if I don't put it in S tier. So it's going to be an S tier. Next one, use our own stack. I love that Trillet has our own stack because I think it's one of the benefits of voice agents itself. So because we own the whole entire stack, it means we can put up any feature, we can put up any model, we can put up any request of our agencies. Is that really important? It's really important because agencies are the backbone of how it's really important because for agencies to be successful, they need to request the features that they need to be able to be successful. We can't just be like, well, we're not going to give it to you because we don't own the stack. We can't produce that feature. It doesn't work like that. For an agency to be successful, the team and the community, it's really important for Trillet to listen to the community members and for us to be able to say, well, it's a feature that you guys have requested. Look, we'll build it. And the only reason we'll build it is because we want you guys to win. So whereas obviously with other platforms who don't own the stack, they're bounded by the APIs of whatever other platform they have. So that's why I think the own stack is really important. We also don't need to, it's also cheaper as well. So we charge at 12 cents per minute at the moment. If you went with a wrapper, they would have to obviously pay the company that they're wrapping, which is whatever cost that is. Plus they have to charge and make a profit on top of them as well. So obviously you start increasing your costs, which is why I think having our own stack is really advantageous because we own the whole thing. Then you have no code agent. I think no code agent is pretty similar to our shared demo link. And I think our no code agent is really, really good, which is like, it's like a website scrape and then be able to produce certain automations that are pre-built. I think I like it to be S tier or A tier. It's really tough for me to say, but I think we'll put it in S tier. The reason why I say this is because it works in unison with our shared demo link because you can create custom automations, for example, an email summary or an SMS summary, all in one button and one toggle without actually having to build it through a no-code platform. It's advantageous because you can show your prospects, well, I can get you an email summary, I can get you an SMS summary all in 5 minutes without actually having to do anything. And you can see all these answers that the AI has taken up. You have seen all the questions that the AI is answering and asking all in one go. And that's why prospects would be like, wow, that's really cool. I didn't know it could be that fast for you guys to build that for me. Once again, it makes them feel impressed, which is why they'll most likely, or you'll most likely convert that prospect. Next one is school community. Now, people were going to think it will be. I'm going to 100% put that in S tier. I'm going to actually put it at the top as well. I think it's S tier because of two things. One, we recently went to a Google event and the whole concept of that Google event was to talk about community and trust. And if you have a strong community and they put trust in you and you are transparent with them, then they will likely work with you. The reason why we built the school community is because it is not easy to build a voice agent. It is not easy to run an agency. Myself and the team have been successful at running these agencies, which is why we want to give that feedback back and we want to give that education back for others to succeed. If they succeed, then we succeed. It's not necessarily a one-way partnership in this case because we believe that if we educate our partners to be able to learn and use the platform correctly, then in turn, they will be successful. If there is no education, they might pay for a month or they might use us for a month, then they'll leave. What's the point of that? There's no benefit in that whatsoever. We churn because we think the platform's not good. And you guys don't want to work with us because you guys aren't getting the clients or you guys aren't learning how to use the platform. So equally, we think that the school community is important because if we help you, then you'll help us. It's a two-way partnership, and that's always been the case with Trillet. Next feature is go high level. Interesting enough, I think go high level is A tier. I think A tier because I hate working with the API sometimes of go high level, but I digress. So I think the good thing about go high level with us is that we have a native integrator with them, which means that you can connect your integration very quickly. You can just sign in to your go high level, and then you'll be able to connect a specific sub account that you'd like. So if you're using go high level, and if your client is using go high level, it makes it really easy to do that. It will be able to book appointments. It can add a contact. It's a really good feature. Sometimes it's a bit buggy because of go high level itself, but we're perfecting that at the moment. So I think I'll put in A tier, moving up to S tier shortly. Next feature is cal.com. I think cal.com is one of the really good features that we have because of how flexible it is. So obviously if you're using a Google Calendar, you can connect and use cal.com as well. So you can just sync those two calendars together, and you can just plug in your API key into Trillet and then be able to read, book, reschedule, cancel appointments. So it's a really simple integration, but really highly effective for agencies who have a client who uses Google Calendar. We also have a Google Calendar integration, which is really useful too. It can do both ways, but I think they're two really great features that we have. So I put in S tier because of how useful it is for a fast integration to a calendar. I now put in HubSpot. I think this is just CRMs in general, and similar to go high level, it is a quite useful feature that we have, and we have MCP connectors as well. I think honestly, MCP, this feature it's useful, but it's buggy. So I think MCPs are unfortunately not the best at the moment because of how well they connect. They connect significantly well, don't get me wrong, but the actual rate of a successful call within MCP interaction is very low. So I think it's almost at like 60%, which is not really that great. So I think it's really quick and easy to set up, but I think a lot of platforms advertise, well, oh my God, we have MCP connectors that connect to 10,000 different integrations. It doesn't work like that. So I think, honestly, don't worry too much about MCPs. The native integrators work a lot better. Obviously, a lot less of them, but I think it's definitely not worth the risk when you run into production level clients. Spam filter. I really like spam filter feature. I think it obviously can be improved on in the future. With our spam filter, what it does is you can list out a bunch of numbers that we want to ban or you don't want to go through the agent, and then it won't proceed to go to the call. I think we can definitely improve this on in the future, which is why I put it in A tier. It's an A tier because it doesn't block out spam completely. Like if it says marketing, how will the AI know whether it's a true marketing call or whether it's one of your internal team that's calling you? It's very difficult for the AI agent to be able to understand that. So I think in the future, it will definitely improve with spam, but at the moment, this does the job, which is why I put it in A tier. I'm hoping in the future we can find a way where the agent is going to be able to connect and then 100% be able to decipher what call it is. And if it's spam, we ignore it. If it's a real call, we pass it through. Another feature that we have is Twilio telephony. We have Trillet and Tonix telephony on our platform. I think A tier, A or B tier, it's just a feature that's quite useful. We are bringing A2P compliance onto the platform itself, which means that you can apply directly with Tonix and you can go and ask for A2P compliance, so you can get A2P numbers directly at the platform without having to go through a third party. So I think it's a very useful feature to have. You'll be able to do that so very shortly, and it assists because you don't need to go through that third party anymore. Email summary. I think email summary is an S tier feature. The reason why I say that is because it's a very impressive feature to have when you're doing a prospect demo. It's not so that it's really complex. It's pretty simple. It just follows our intake questions. So by default, we generate you a list of intake questions for each inbound qualification agent. We'll have like 6 to 8 questions or whatever it is. Those 6 to 8 questions will be answered. Those 6 to 8 questions will be asked by the agent on each call, and the answers to those questions will be listed in an email summary with the MP3 link, as well as also a summary and the to and from call numbers, all in an email by default. So it makes it really easy to show to your prospect, well, like, damn, that's a really good call because I got an email summary. I can call back the agent already. It makes it really, really impressive. So I think that's why I would list it at S tier because of how flexible it is. Many platforms will not likely do this, or it's very difficult to do this. So we've been able to configure it and make sure that our agencies, when they're doing a prospect, they have the highest chance of converting because it's impressive to the client. We also have PCI, and I'm going to put PCI and sort of the range of compliance is very important. At the moment, we're getting SOC 2 and ISO as our compliance, which makes us more compliant in different areas of the law, but PCI is very important. We want to be able to show that data is not getting leaked on calls. So we have a toggle which allows you to selectively, if there's like private data, for example, a social security number, the AI recognizes that and blurs that in the transcript. You can enable HIPAA and it be able to not entirely, it will be able to remove the transcript of the call. There's no link to recording. It just provides a quick summary of what the call was about. So that's also quite important because we don't want any sort of data to be leaked. And I think given that we're moving towards SOC 2 and ISO 27001, makes it a lot. We're moving towards the right direction for our compliance standards. I've also got meta lead forms here. I think meta lead forms is an A tier feature. The reason why meta lead forms is A tier is because we want our agencies to focus on also other ways to get clients. So you'd see a lot of these platforms, they offer inbound calls. Well, yeah, great. You can build an AI receptionist, but so is every other agency out there, right? Because we have an outbound feature, we have outbound capabilities, we want to be able to get our clients and our agencies to be able to get more prospects and more leads. And that's through meta lead forms. So we have a native integration with Meta where you can select a lead form. Let's say you want to run a lead form, then you can select that meta ad lead form. Then each time the agent or someone submits a lead through that form, our AI will instantly qualify them, and it can also set the amount of times that the AI retries that lead. So sometimes the lead won't answer on that first call. Let's call that lead back after a day. So you can keep retrying that lead, and then that will allow you to get a more successful call, more successful pickup rate as well. So I think that's another really cool feature that we offer. I wouldn't say it's S, I would say it's A tier because of how many leads you can get from that AI, from that feature. I already mentioned this one, but compliance, very, very important aspect of what we do, given that we're in a very highly regulated industry. So I think given that we're SOC 2 and we're looking at getting ISO as well, it's really important that we do get those standards because it definitely brings us to the next level. We feel that we are ready for that sort of next level where the platform is going in a very, very good direction. So I think very, very important. So I'll put that in S tier. Just take a look at your compliances, and when you go through in a platform or you're going through a third party or another development platform or another wrapper, ask if they have these compliances. If they don't have any sort of compliance, it's probably because they're quite new, they're not that ready. But then again, I think it's important to have those because you want to know what your risk is when you go into one of these. So for those BAs, if you need, very important to do so. And our last one is deepgram speech to text. So I'll put it in A tier. The reason why I put deepgram here is because of languages. So multi-language is quite important. We have a lot of agencies who don't use English as their first language for clients. That's a really important thing because most of these TTS and STT providers, they're always English based. Like, yeah, English is probably the majority that we have too, but now we're seeing major improvements from like Google Chirp and 11 Labs Scribe 3. It's really important that we get those speech to text providers out there for our clients, because the more we offer and more variety we offer to agencies, the more chances they have at getting success through clients and getting to prospects. That's the reason why we put this here, is because given that we're a fully native and we own our own stack, it means that we can offer more variety to everyone. In return, we expect that, well, if we offer more variety and you guys can test it and play around with it and you're happy with it, that means you guys will have a better chance at success. So that's why I've listed it there. But you can see here, that's overall what we have as features. We probably have a lot more features that I haven't included here. I think that this is what the biggest list we have so far. Yeah, I think that's a really good summary of where I think Trillet is at in terms of feature wise. If you guys enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up, please subscribe and let me know what your thoughts on. But yeah, these are what I think are the features that are really important to agency success and why I think Trillet is the best platform for agency and voice agency success at the moment. But yeah, hope you guys liked the video and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.